These are squash bugs, and they're the nemesis of nearly every zucchini-loving gardener I know. Not only are they super gross, but they damage your plants and pee on your fruits, and that's just rude. This video will help you identify them and give you some organic strategies to take the fight to them to save your plants and produce. Adult squash bugs are around 5/8 of an inch long, dark gray or brown, and appear somewhat flattened or squished. They have orange and brown stripes on their abdomen and are often confused for stink bugs. That's because they're related and, like stink bugs, actually emit a foul odor when they're smashed or disturbed. They can't bite you. They don't even have what you and I would consider a traditional mouth. Instead, they have a piercing, sucking structure which they use for drinking sap from plants like squash, pumpkin, and cucumbers. Picture a boba tea straw in the hands of an angsty teen and you'll get the idea. Adults can live through winter in sheltered places like garden debris, compost, or even near home foundations. These adults emerge in spring in search of the perfect plant as a site for mating and feeding. While they can fly, you'll typically see them walking instead. Females start laying eggs at the end of May and lay about 20 at a time on the underside of leaves. These eggs are a yellow-orange color and tiny, only 1/16 of an inch in diameter. Eggs hatch in about 10 days. After hatching, nymphs will progress through 5 stages of development, feeding on your plants for nutrients as they go. These nymphs will mature into adults in 4 to 6 weeks. Okay, let's talk about what kind of damage they can do with that crazy, pokey, sucky mouth thing. As the name implies, they're typically found on varieties of squash. They can also hit up pumpkins, cucumbers, cantaloupe, and watermelon. I mainly find them sucking nutrients on my zucchini plants. Young seedlings and flowering plants are the most vulnerable. Feeding from squash bugs can cause leaves to wilt and die. And if that wasn't enough for these little monsters, they also leave the fruits below where they're feeding all sticky. That's right, they pee on your food. It's too much. Okay, here's how you can take your garden back. Prevention is key, as squash bugs are difficult to control once established. Now, your absolute best prevention is by growing healthy plants in good soil with proper nutrients and consistent watering. The stronger the plant, the less of an impact squash bugs will have on it. With a little foresight, control can actually start at the end of the previous season. Since adult squash bugs can overwinter in sheltered places, consider removing all of your squash plant debris at the end of the growing season, including vines and fruits. This will remove habitat for overwintering adults. Another preventative measure has to do with the timing of plantings. Some gardeners plant as early as possible so that, by the end of May, when the overwintered adults arrive, plants are tough and will be less impacted by pests. Another option is to plant later in the season, well after squash bugs emerge, so that they are already established elsewhere by the time your plants show up. This option will also allow you to have a better chance of avoiding squash vine borers, which can kill the entire plant. Before we go on, if you're receiving value from this content, don't hesitate to give it a big thumbs up. It really does help the channel. Okay, so what do you do after squash bugs find your plants? Suppressing the egg and nymph population early on is essential. Checking plants daily is best, at least once every 10 days, since that's how long it takes eggs to hatch. Crush and remove all eggs you find. When you find squash bugs, treatment becomes very hands-on. I know, totally gross. You can fill a container with soapy water and knock adults and nymphs off of your plants into soapy water to drown them. Or skip the soapy water and just stomp them. You know, squish squash bugs. If you feel overrun by squash bugs, try laying out cardboard or newspaper on the ground by the affected plants. Squash bugs will crawl under it during the night. Collect and destroy all you find in the morning. If you've resigned yourself to using an insecticide, you should know insecticides are ineffective on adults. If you'd like to learn more about natural ways to keep pests out of your garden, you can check out the next video linked here. And after seeing this video, if you feel like I've earned your subscription, you can click the Mancycle logo right here.